to this meeting. So this is going to be a presentation by Beatrice Kamau, who's come all the way from Kenya for a little bit of a break, but also we've put her to work a few times, telling different folks about the work of the Potters House CBO, of which she is the manager. And so you're going to be hearing about the work over there, a little bit about its inception. For those of you who don't know, a few years ago, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, Ruth and Sean actually went out to Kenya for a completely different kind of reason, really. It was to go and do some work supporting and encouraging families with cerebral palsy to think about an alternative way of supporting their children and helping them, enabling them. And then different circumstances led to another, very much God's hand in it, leading Ruth Stevens, Beatrice, who they never knew each other. The Lord brought them together, and out of that online meeting, actually, it wasn't even a face-to-face meeting, it was a meeting online, the concept of the Potters House was born. So you're going to hear about 3 areas of the work. You're going to hear about the community area, families, and church, is that right? Outreach, thank you. And so we've broken it up into 3 sections to help make it a little bit more manageable. Be warned, there's a lot of information. I've heard this talk and I was absolutely bowled over having it put into such a kind of concise manner, looking back over the work of 6 years, and it's all to the praise and glory of the Lord, really. So in between each section, we're actually going to have a time where you can ask questions. So no question is too small. Please do ask it if you have a burning question. Also, for those of you who are watching online as well, please just type any questions in the chat. We'll happily read those out to Beatrice. And also we're going to put some extra photographs on the screen. Now, if you're wondering why you will not see the face of a child, it's because it's the policy of the Potters House charity that we do not show faces of children for various security and privacy issues. You might see the back of their heads or the side or whatever, but you will not see a face. So they are deliberately blanked out. That's not it's not a mistake. Okay, Beatrice. So I met Beatrice myself. Come on up. 2018.
Yeah.
And we've met several times in Zoom meetings since, haven't we?
Yeah.
And she's a dear sister in the Lord, aren't you? So it's been absolutely wonderful to welcome here to UK for the first time. Have you enjoyed yourself?
So much.
And has the weather been good to you?
Yeah.
You say yes. It could have been worse. All right, so it's with great pleasure I just hand over to Beatrice for this part of the meeting. And you've got the clicker, so you're all good.
Thank you so much, Ruth. It's a great honor to be here. It's my very first time to be in the UK, and so I am excited and I feel so humbled to be here. And as Ruth has said, my name is Beatrice Kamau. I am the co-founder and the manager of the Potters House CBO, which is based in Njoro, Kenya. And I have been doing this work for the last 6 years, and prior to this, I had been working as a social worker at a Street Children Project Center for 10 years. And during my time at the center, I had witnessed how children living in poverty were immediately taken away or removed from their families when the parents could not afford school fees or to put regular food on the table. And this might have given them a physical, safe environment with education and regular meals. But over time, I could see the lack of family contact and bonding. having a long-term negative psychological and emotional effect on the children. And this was especially difficult for them when they turned the age of 18 years and they needed to leave the institution and they had no family support system or structure or close relationship with family. And in 2017, God connected me with Ruth Stevens following her visit to Kenya. And after a period of getting to know each other, we both realized that we shared a vision for an organization that provided a holistic approach that strengthened the family unit and prevented family breakdown. After spending much time in prayer about what we believed God was calling us to do, God confirmed it to us in Psalm 68, verse 6. That says, God sets the solitary in families. And also again, when we were really questioning if this would be possible, God again confirmed to us in Isaiah 43, verses 19, that says, behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I'll make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. The Potter's House was first registered in 2018, and since then we have experienced God's leading and blessing on the work, making the organization to grow and to develop. And today I have much pleasure to share with you some of the ways that we have known God and seen His faithfulness in all that we do, and how He has led us in all things, and most importantly, how it is nothing about us as people, but Him working in and through us. Allow me to introduce the stuff that God has provided to us as an organization. And these are not people that we started with, but over time, God has led them to us, or God has provided them to us. I'll start on the far end. We have Beth. Beth is our disability support worker. She directly handles families with disability. And next to Beth, we have Joseph. Joseph is our supervisor in our APT workshop. I will talk about APT later. And next to Joseph, we have John. John is our male mentor who joined us beginning of this year. Next to John is Beatrice, who's standing in front of you. And next to Beatrice, we have Peter. And Peter works closely with Joseph at the APT workshop. We now have 3 major sections of work. We work with families, we work with the communities, and we work in a way of Christian outreach. And each of the sections interlinks with the other. Where we are based in Joro, it has a high level of unemployment. There is a lack of education among the population. So you will find parents who have never been to school themselves. You will see high rates of drug and alcohol addiction, high levels of poverty, and high levels of HIV. And within one family, you may come across all or these things plus domestic abuse, child neglect, previous traumas, and health issues such as malnutrition. So each family is different and complex in terms of its needs. We do take the referrals from various government bodies, community referrals, or we may come across children on the streets and or in the market and trace their family from there. After that, I then go and do a family assessment to see how the family is living, the problems they are facing, and how we can come in as an organization. I sit down with the parents and work out an immediate plan of action. Our immediate plan of action is usually to help with things like the hospital fee, if they are in need of medical assistance and have not been able to afford to go to hospital, or it could be placing them on our food bank support if they are going without meals. We also put in place a long-term plan of action that will support the parent to become self-sufficient. This could be supporting them to enroll in training courses that will lead to employment once they qualify. While they attend a course that will lead to while they attend a course, we will offer 2 days a week of employment at our APT workshop, so that they can still sustain their families. We also kickstart small businesses for parents, and we also provide seeds to plant if they have land, so that they can increase their food supply and sell the excess. Or it could be we assist in finding local employment for them. For the children in the family, we make sure that each one who is of school age is either placed in a local school or they join a polytechnic. That is for those who are older. For the financing of the long-term plans, we think always it is important to partner with the parents and not just giving out handouts. Parents need to feel part of the process and also feel responsible for their own families. So parents are offered work at our APT workshop, and they can save part of the cost of starting business or school admission, for example. And this year, God has enabled us to see 15 children that were out of school being able to access education, and thanks to this support. Just like I have said, how we've been working with families, one of the families that I'm going to share about is a family that we came across, a family of 6 children, plus the dad and the mom. That's eight in that family. And the family was living in abject poverty. 2 of the children in this family, aged 5 and 2 years, were suffering acute malnutrition. So like I said, our immediate plan may come in terms of medical intervention. We had to take the 2 children to hospital so that they could be attended to. And they were attended to for quite some time, whereby after they had to be admitted in hospital for some time, where we kept on visiting them. But unfortunately, we lost one of them along the way after the treatment, after they were discharged home. This is the 2-year-old child. So we had to continue with the support and follow-up for the whole family, because alongside malnutrition, the parents were not working. They had a piece of land, and as I mentioned, we do provide seed. They were not in a position to buy seeds to plant in their land. So we helped them to till their land, and we provided the seeds so that they can plant and have enough for their family to feed on. And if they have excess, they can sell. And I thank God because as we speak, that is going on. They no longer go without food on a regular basis, and they have more than enough. And for the 5-year-old who had acute malnutrition, we kept him, as I said, other immediate action is provision of food. We had to provide food for this family while the seeds we gave them to plant were ready. So we kept them or placed them in our food bank support, whereby we provided food for the family weekly and special food for this boy, so as just to boost his health. It was a challenge because for him being 5 years, he just looked like he was 2 years. And because the only thing that the mother could do was, just leaving him. He was too weak even to walk. He could just walk a few steps and fall down because he was too weak. So he was used to being left at home with the 2-year-old who passed on, and that was all that the mother could be able to do. So we had also to come in, as I said, another intervention we do, placing the children in school. We had to look for a local school near their home, where we placed this 5-year-old boy. But this wasn't that easy. No one could believe that he was actually 5 years. So there was a long struggle with their admission. The teachers concerned could not believe that he was 5, actually, because even at a look, he looked like 2 years. So I remember having a long conversation and some opposition from teachers. So he looks 2 years, he's 5. I had to go back to the registrar of birth again to process his birth certificate for them to believe actually that he's 5 years so that they could admit him to school. And I remember at some point the head teacher was like, Beatrice, you know the age school for Kenya. Why are you bringing to us a 2-year-old child who starts learning? And I had tried to persuade him and to convince them, but it came at a point whereby I could only prove that through a birth certificate. And then I had to explain to them the situation with this family so that they could understand what had pushed this boy to get into that situation. So by God's intervention, they embraced the boy. Actually, they also introduced a special diet specifically for him, whereby they still provide this boy with milk and some eggs on a weekly basis. And today, as we speak, the boy is so strong. And I think, as you can see, he's on the second photo. When I was trying to buy some school uniform for him, nothing could fit him. No school shirt could fit him. All looks like trousers. They are even the smallest, because he was too tiny and and so skinny. So that is the only school shirt that could fit him. But nevertheless, the teachers accepted him, and he's been doing well. He doesn't look like this now. He's healthy, and he can associate well and interact well with other children, unlike before where he couldn't interact with other children because he hadn't learned any social skills, being left at home the whole day. But as you can see there, he's ready for school. And he has been learning. I do visits in his schools, and he comes over running. And anytime I look at him, I am always emotional, because I remember the many words that people say, oh, he couldn't make it. The doctors were like, oh, this one is gonna die just like the other one because of the level of the malnutrition. But thanks to God that He has sustained him and kept him, and he's good. The other thing in that family is that both parents plus this boy were all HIV positive, but were not using the ARVs drugs. So that was another thing that we needed also to sit with them together and try to support them emotionally so that they get to a point of accepting to go to the hospital to do the test and then to start using the ARVs as it is needed. And thanks to God, once they started using the ARVs, both the mother and the dad, they are now strong and they are working. Actually, the dad had been working with us in our APT workshop for some time. And as you can see, that is us helping to till the land. And you can see at the end now that the crops are ready. And now they have, it's a sign that they have enough food and they won't starve anymore. And as I have explained, this kind of a process, in as much as we say we have an immediate plan of action, it doesn't just come as a straightforward as it sounds. And we see lots of issues such as alcohol addiction and family breakdowns and domestic violence that needs a holistic approach. So alongside the material support that I have mentioned that we do give, we spend time getting to know a parent, listening to them, giving them that emotional support, and praying with them alongside other things. Because you can't just get to a person and say, you need hospital, I think you have HIV, I need you start, you need time to sit down, listen to them, pray with them, support them emotionally until they get to a point of even trusting and believing in and taking in what you are advising them. Another way that the Lord has helped us to work with the community is through a parent support group. And we run a parent support group meeting where parents are asked to come and where the parents are given the time to express their deep emotional struggles. And this is also where we educate them about parenting techniques and also how to have good relationships with their children, how to bring their children closer, by listening to them, how to correct them without beating. Beating is a common thing in Kenya, and how to, just how to correct them without violence, and how to be responsible for them, maybe in terms of where they are, who they are with, and all that. In our discussions, we are trying to show them what a godly parent looks like and how God wants us to live individually and as a family. And we have seen God use these meetings to heal broken relationships and strengthen the family units. One of the parents, a very lovely lady who had been attending our parent support group, had relational issues with her daughter. She had developed hatred and bitterness towards her daughter, and the same to her daughter. So they could not sit together to reason, or the only way this parent knew of correcting her child is through caning and beating up the child. And so the child became also violent. She could also attack the mother by biting her and hitting her back with things, biting her with her mouth and things like that. But since she started attending our parent support group and teaching her the best ways to correct a child, she has always expressed herself through these meetings just to encourage other parents struggling with the same. How the meetings have helped her to be able to know the ways she can correct her child in love without beating. And she talks about how their relationship has healed and has been restored, the way they are not longer fighting at home, the way she's able to sit down with her daughter, and the daughter also says the same. She feels she now has the confidence, to talk to her mother, to ask for something. They can now sit together and converse and have a sensible talk. Unlike before, when both always fought 3 words to each other. So thanks to God for enabling us to touch the lives of such parents through our parent support group. And this emotional and support and spiritual support has been beneficial for the progress of the family as a unit. And the process it takes, it needs a lot of patience, as I have just told you. You can easily be, feel like, I have just been told off by the teachers, or their parent and all that. So it needs a lot of patience and a lot of love. And where we have always lacked in this work, that is the emotional and spiritual support, is also reaching out to the dads in the same way. And obviously, me as a lady, it has been difficult to build that strong relationships with the dads and for them to open up to me in the same way. And we really thank God, as I had introduced John, that after so long praying for a male worker, he provided us with one at the start of this year, and that is John, as I introduced him. He joined us in February and is currently responsible for meeting our dads weekly and giving them the emotional and spiritual support that they need. And so having John has also enabled us to start a monthly men's breakfast and a mentorship program for boys in local schools. We are so thankful to God because the boys have been left out in a way. In Kenya, most of the programs that come up, they are majorly supporting or focusing on the girls and leaving out the boys. So we feel there is a gap because some of these boys are coming from broken families where they don't have the male mentor or they don't have a father figure, and so most of them end up, catching up habits that maybe they get on the streets or they get lured to by other older boys or older men. And so having John come along to be their mentor has been really beneficial to these boys, and even being there as the male mentor and working with them a spiritual journey, talking to them about issues of drug abuse and all that. And we thank God for the provision of this. And this is not only filling up the gap that we had of lacking a male mentor and an emotional support worker for the boys, but this has also given us great opportunities to share the gospel and encourage them, both the men and the boys, to commit their lives to Christ. And so we give thanks recently for a dad who gave his life to Jesus. He had been struggling with alcohol addiction as well as domestic violence. He's a dad of 6 children also, and his marriage had broken down, and his wife had left home with the children because of the domestic violence, and she had felt she couldn't cope anymore. And so we are really thankful to God that after this dad gave his life to Jesus, his family has been reunited. His wife has come back together with the children, and their home is now peaceful, and he has stopped drinking alcohol. And so, as I said, having John coming along or coming in is helping us to see such a dad on a weekly basis, to encourage him and to live as a godly man or a godly husband or father, and helping him to grow in his faith through sharing the scripture.
Thank you, Beatrice. That was just the first section. So if you need to get up and stretch, please do. Okay, so we're just going to show you some photographs of some life in Joro. I don't know if some of them need explaining. They've got little, nice little markers on there. Has anybody got any questions? And if anyone's on the live stream that would like to ask a question, please do. Brenda, can you see what's being said up there? It will come up.
I can't see it.
Okay, yes.
Can I ask, what is the level of HIV in Kenya? And secondly, are any of those children in that family HIV positive?
So the question was, what is the level of HIV in Kenya, and which family were you
The one that you showed with
the little boy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I would say the level of HIV in Kenya I would give it 19%. This is because the families I'm working with, let's say in a family of 10, 8 of them are living with HIV and AIDS. And then the family I have just shared, yes, we have that young boy and the parents as well. They are living with HIV. Yeah, so they are on this has been medically confirmed because we took them to the hospital and they are taking the ARVs. This is something else that we follow up on their clinics, because once they skip their clinic days, it means they go back or their health won't be as good. Thank you.
Any other questions? We have one.
Yes, so because you mentioned ARVs, and so are they good at maintaining that treatment and remembering to give them to the children as well?
Thank you. At the beginning, it's a struggle for them because, of course, it's a new thing they were not used to. So they need a lot of encouragement and supervision, and monitoring. Yeah, so other than that, it's always a struggle in the beginning for them even to get to the tune of remembering when and why. And the hospitals we work with, we try to work closely also with hospitals so that they are able to understand the situation of the kind of a family. So mostly you'll find that the hospital is looking at a way whereby they can only administer the drugs maybe in the morning or in the evening, so they will remember that. But other than that, we do close supervisions and encouragement that is being followed up. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? Are you happy to move on? Do you need to sit down? You okay? Right, do you want to go on to the... Okay, so Beatrice is now going to talk about the community outreach.
Yeah, so as I had told you that the Lord has enabled us to work in 3 ways. The second way is through the community. And God has enabled us to have different projects that are directly involving the community. And so we have also seen God in a big way in all our community projects, which I'll be sharing briefly. And over the last 2 years, we felt God leading us more into work with families who have children with disability. There is still a high level of stigma attached to disability in Kenya, and as well as a lack of education about disability for parents. And this means that children's care and social needs are neglected. In Kenya, having a disability, mostly a parent is being regarded as having a curse in their family. So when a family knows that, and that is how the society treats them, they tend to hide their children. So you'll find that a parent goes out, leaving their child all day without care, without food, without any motivation, and all that. So, and she's trying to, get away from whatever is being said out there. And so you see how, when I say about the child's care being neglected, that child will stay all day without any food or drink, without maybe change of napkins or any of that, or in the same position. If they were left lying on the floor, they will lie there. No one will change their position all day. And so in 2022, we have run a community project that makes standing frames and chairs for children with disability using cardboard and paper. It is estimated that approximately 114,500 children are born with cerebral palsy in Kenya each year, and 70% of these children live in poverty. Nearly half of these will be able to stand or to sit unsupported. And children with disabilities in Kenya rarely have access to the equipment they need to sit up or to stand. And very few parents have ever had the diagnosis explained to them, so they do not know how best to care for their children. I think Ruth has witnessed this, Ruth Stevens, because she's come while we are doing the assessment for these devices, and you just ask your parent whether she knows the condition of her child, and she'll say something that even she has never heard, or she just say, I just think it's epilepsy, and it could be cerebral palsy, or they just say they don't know. The doctor just told me my child cannot walk or cannot stand on their own. So because the children can't sit up, and as I said, they spend their days lying on the bed, sitting or on the floor with little or no speech stimulation. And so being in an upright functional position is essential for developing interaction and communication with others, as well as eating for safe swallowing. Without good postural management, children often develop painful and fixed contractures such as hip dislocations, limb dislocations, and spinal deformities. They are trapped in their homes and cannot participate in family or community activities. Just ignored by those around them, maybe stepped over or forgotten, they have or they live an isolated life, and often they have a painful existence. An example of what I have said, parents lacking equipment. On my far end, you can see a parent. She has dug a hole just outside her compound, and she had been using, that is before we met, of course, she had been using that hole to put her child all day there as she goes to the farm to work. So you can imagine the child inside that hole all day. She can't turn. Of course, she's not in a proper or right position or posture, because it's dug and her head is hung on one side, as you can see. And of course, as you have heard me say, there is a possibility of the child developing hip dislocations and other deformities. So these parents, not that she just chose to do that, that was only what she could afford to do, just dig a hole. And you can imagine, if we have animals passing around, they will step on this girl, and or any dangerous things. This girl is just helpless there. If it rains, she will just be there, the rain will fall on her. If the sun is too hot, she will just be there, nothing, she has nothing to do. And on this end, we have a parent who have improvised a basin, because this is all she could also afford. She has improvised a basin for the child to sit him in. But as you can see, again, it is not a proper sitting position. The child is also likely to develop these complications that I have said, permanent contractures, hip dislocations, and all that. So when we say that, parents are struggling with their children because maybe of lack of the equipment, these are kind of the situations that I come across when I am doing the visits of families with children with disabilities. And for example, on my right side, when you talk to that lady, you listen to her, you just feel for her, because she says, I have to go and look for work. And why I need to go and work, I am not allowed to go with such a child. I don't have anyone to leave the child with. So and I fear maybe if I leave her in the home where they're just lighting firewood with, some wood or so, maybe the fire might catch the house and the girl might get burned. So she prefers outside, where at least, she was explaining to me, everyone, can see her, anyone passing by. But again, you are never sure when is that person gonna be passing by. So these are some of the ways, most of our parents with children with disabilities have been managing without the equipment. I will talk about a community project that has had a great impact in our community, coming along to intervene in helping such parents with children with disability. And the APT Kenya, we call it appropriate paper-based technology. It makes chairs, standing frames, and wheelchair insert, as I had said, using cardboard, paper, and a flour water paste as the glue. All the materials can be sourced locally, and the children are assessed and measured by a trained therapist, and then the devices are made suitable for the child's need. I'll take you through the process of how the devices are made. And here, as you can see, they're making the boards. The process starts by making the boards. This is a layer of three layers of cardboard, which are glued together, making sure that on each layer the corrugations go opposite direction. And this is this is what makes them strong. The glue is made by mixing flour and water into a paste, as I had said. So these are our men, together with parents whom we invite in the process of making the boards. And once the boards are dry, they are put outside in the sun to dry, which takes a couple of days. The men can now start drawing. We have the men I introduced, Joseph and Peter, who are already trained for this work. They can now draw the parts of the device onto the boards using the measurements that were taken by the therapist. The boards are cut out and tied together with ties. Then the straps of thin cord are put across the joints, as you can see. 3 layers of papers are stuck together and then torn into strips to cover the device. After the paper has dried, a layer of thicker brown paper is used to cover the device, as is above here. And once it is all dry, it can be painted and decorated. And as you can see, this is the final product. It has dried, it has been finished, and it has been painted and decorated. We normally decorate using stencils. As you can see, those are children seated up in upright positions, as are standing in the middle in an upright positions together with their parents. And for the first time, children are able to sit or to stand up and engage in family activities or family life. Parents have said how the other children, neighbors, and families are more willing now to talk and to play with their children, and as a result of the social interaction and the stimulation, children are trying to communicate in which they never did before. Some neighbors have even confessed to changing the way they thought about the children and are now seeing that these children have potential, whereas before they didn't think they could do anything. And some of the children have even started school after having a school chair made for them. And at last, these children are being included in family life, and for the parents, it is making caring for them much easier. They can put the child in the device and be able to do, other work, knowing that the child is happy, safe, and comfortable in the device. And since the project began in 2022, God has enabled us to provide 297 devices to children. Such is the need. Parents are coming to ask for these devices, and as far as Western Kenya, which is nearly 200 miles away from where we are. We have been known out there. Parents come for devices, they go tell their friends or their relatives, or they talk about it wherever they come from. And even like now, as we talk, we have a 12-month waiting list for children who are waiting to have such devices. And in the past, this was not the case. We would wait to, we would go to various hospitals, and various communities to look for these children. And like now, where we are known out there, the devices have made a great impact, and more people are spreading the word there, and we no longer have to go chase for people. As you can see, we have a 1-year waiting list for children who are wanting these devices. And through this project, we have seen God doing amazing things, and it has also provided work for parents who we work with that are struggling to support their families. You can see some of the parents are being invited to come together with their children to work together with our APTers who train them on doing the papering. And so through this, they are able to earn a living. So all are welcome to come and work, as I've said, with their children, instead of leaving them, as I had said, at home. So you are sure that the child is, is with the parent and not at home alone. And this helps us to get an opportunity to see the well-being of the child and the progress of the child. And also we get an opportunity to encourage the parent to continue caring for their children. And this goes an extra mile in helping the parents become confident in taking out their children with them. And this also become an encouragement to other parents as well. Because once a parent with a child with a disability sees another one out with a child, it automatically encourages them. Oh, if I have seen this lady out with a child with a disability, why not me? I can also take mine out. So these are other benefits, of inviting the parents to come along with their children. And alongside the APT, we have known God's goodness in providing us with support, with a support worker. I had introduced Beth, so that she can focus on children with disabilities. And Beth has been engaging parents through trainings on caring for their children in areas of play, feeding, communication, positioning, as well as other daily living activities. And Beth has built a good relationship with local schools, which has seen several children being able to access education for the first time. She also helps parents with applying for government documents such as the disability cards and also the birth certificate. Allow me to take you to our next community project, that is Cycle with Dignity, that Bell Directory works under. Our Cycle with Dignity project is in response to the needs of girls who don't have access to menstrual products, and is providing reusable sanitary towels to girls in local schools. And still in Kenya, there is still a lot of stigma attached to this, especially girls who cannot afford the sanitary towels, especially maybe in schools. They get a lot of ridicule, maybe at times when they get to soil their clothes. And these girls also, as a result of this lack, they engage themselves in sexual activities in exchange of money or for money, so that they can afford to go out and buy the sanitary towels. And in such activities, some of the girls end up contracting HIV, others sexually transmitted diseases, and others early pregnancies. And they are doing this all because their parents are poor and they cannot afford, to buy for them. And maybe as a way of trying to run away from the lack, they indulge themselves in such activity. So Beth also leads this work, as I had said, and when she goes to the school, she teaches the girls and boys about menstrual health and hygiene before giving out the pads. We include the boys also, so that they may learn and help us also to stop the cycle of stigma to their girls, because we also understand they have their sisters at home, they'll come across people in class, they have their mothers and aunts and all that. So each girl, so in our cycle of dignity, when we go to our local schools, each girl gets, a girl in class 7 gets a pack of 6 pads and a wet bag, which are made by a local mom using local materials. And also through God's provision, we have been able to increase the schools that we have been supporting from 4 schools to 7 schools this year. We have also known God's favor when it comes to our community food bank. As I had mentioned, when going to do home assessment and get the lack of food as being an immediate need, we have to do an immediate intervention. So this year we have seen a huge increase in people willing to donate food, and this food is later distributed to families in need. And before, the whole idea of a food bank in Kenya sounded so weird, and it was almost impossible to start. But God has been gracious to us, and He has not only put on people's hearts to give more and more, to give for the food bank, but more and more people are telling others about it and spreading awareness. A food bank is an idea that is not so common in Kenya, and so when it was first mentioned to our community, it was something so sort of weird, and it took quite effort to see it to where we are, and we thank God for that.
Okay, we're just going to have another look at some more photographs there. and also open up for any questions. So again, those of you who are watching on the live stream, if you'd like to type some questions, we will read them out. So very thought-provoking, those two quite big projects that have been taken on.
Can I ask, if there's a waiting list, a 12-month waiting list for a device, how long do the devices last? Because children grow.
Ruth,
How
do you
long are
want
they?
to answer that one?
Well,
Can you come to the
so what we're tending to see because of the children, because of the level of disability, and probably a lot to do with malnutrition and how their health is that they don't tend to grow the same rate as what we would see children here in the UK growing. So we've done a few that have outgrown those from the start, probably 9 months afterwards. So they would come back. So the answer to the question is that they come back for another device, because when they're made, obviously they're not adjustable, so they have to fit. And there's a little bit of room for, just where the cushioning is and stuff like that. But they have to be remeasured and refitted. But we're not seeing the level of growth or the rate of growth that we would expect to see here in the UK. I think for those reasons of poor health. We've done, I think, in the 2 years that we've done, I think we've done about 3 or 4 replacements, that's all. So it's very, very low replacement. Some parents live so far away, they maybe don't tell you when they've, so I can't account for that. They may just not say anything. Or it might be not until you go and you see the local ones and you realise actually they're growing, they're nearly out. But mainly it's because of the slow growth rate for these children. We saw the 5-year-old. So I just, I've been able to hold a 9-year-old in my arms like a 2-year-old. So they just, they're very, very tiny usually. That's with that sort of disability. And I think it's important to say that because of the stigma, because of the lack of knowledge and lack of acceptance of these children, even within their own family, if there's a need for food, they will be the last on the list to get it. So the other children in the family will eat, and the parents will eat, and maybe this child will be the last to be thought of. And there's also the issues of swallowing. So they have that severe disability that they're not swallowing, so they're not eating a balanced diet. They're just fed with porridge. So then they're not getting that nutrition that they need.
Is there age restriction for devices or a weight restriction? Like, is there a certain age to those?
Age restriction? No, for neither. No age restriction or weight restriction. We haven't. Sorry, it's not very helpful for those online, but for those in the room here that know my daughter, I think it was 2018. We actually made her a standing thing when she visited Kenya to come out. So they're really strong. They've been weight tested in this country. The chairs have gone through the same process as they would for a kind of school chair, for the safety of a school chair, and they've passed. So that was done by the people that developed it. So they are, hefty. They're very, very strong when they're made because you're using, I suppose, engineering principles to do it. So it's important they're done well, which is what the team do. But and no, I think the eldest we've done a wheelchair insert for is 24. 24. There was a young man there.
Yeah, so a question that we had the other week was about wheelchair availability. So could you just talk through about the lack of, or if something is donated, how appropriate it is or not, and what APT can do to fix that?
So what we see is that we can do wheelchair inserts with the APT because although there is some donations into the country, it's nowhere near enough for the scale of need there. but they're usually donations of adult-sized wheelchairs or wheelchairs that don't fit. There's not the staff or the organisations really to fit paediatric wheelchairs to these children. There's not the availability of them. So we see parents have been able to get hold of an adult-sized wheelchair or something like that, but of course the child still can't sit up in them. And then you're able to make an insert to make it fit for them. So otherwise they're a bit pointless, unfortunately.
Okay, any other questions about APT and or cycle
Well,
dignity?
not APT, but we talked about menstruation and why would there be stigma about, I can understand a bit more in a way about disability. Why on earth is there about menstruation? Not just because there may be staining and losses, but is it a cultural thing? Is there some sort of strange beliefs about what happens to women?
Yeah, thank you. I would address that as a cultural thing, because even in Kenya, it is mostly it's believed that a woman on her cycle shouldn't go to church. It's as serious as that. So, and then again, it's a lack of education. That is the bottom line. Because if they were educated right from the beginning, they would know it's a healthy thing for a woman.
And I think what I love about the whole Cycle with Dignity programme is that it seeks to educate the girls and the boys. And the programme that is used to do that is very helpful, and it's been interesting even dealing with the attitudes of educators out there as well, because even some of the educators felt that too much information was being given to children about basic biological functions, because there's stigmas attached to what words we use or and so on. So that's been interesting to challenge that, but also it being accepted, and also the response of head teachers and teachers being very grateful for the intervention and seeing a rise. You didn't mention that, did you? But there's a rise in children attending school, and obviously by that there's going to be better grades and better opportunities for those children. So we're seeing the impact of that project already, which is really nice. So these things, sort of, as Beatrice said at the beginning, they're things that don't get fixed overnight, but being able to look back over the course of 2 years is just incredible to see the impact that these seemingly small things are doing. All right, so the last section, are you ready? You've had your glass of water. Thank you, Beatrice.
Thank you, Ruth. I will share another way that God has allowed us to touch the community, and it is through the Christian outreach. And the most important area of our work, which addresses the greatest needs of this family, of these families, is our Christian outreach. And in all that I have talked about today, Christ is the center. Whether I am out there doing home visits, whether it's during our parent support group, whether it is any other kind of meeting that I have spoken about, we seek to share the gospel as much as we can. And one thing about our country, Kenya, is that despite the numerous churches around, there is a lack of sound gospel preaching churches. Knowing the need for parents and children to be part of a local church, but not having a sound church that we could direct them to, and not wanting them to be caught up in false teachings and the prosperity gospel, that is much part of these churches. It was the reason we first started our weekly Bible study on a Tuesday. And for a long time, we felt this burden, but could not start it, as we didn't have any man we knew who we trusted to lead these meetings well. In 2021, God answered our prayers by leading us to Crosspoint Bible Church in Nakuru. We requested them to send someone each week to lead their community Bible study, which they faithfully did until this year, and we are thankful to them for always showing their support to us in this way and providing men to teach at our holiday Bible club as well. However, despite their willingness and support, it was always a prayer of ours that we would one day be able to have the flexibility and the resources to staff our own clubs and meetings. And God again has answered our prayers by providing us with John, as mentioned him earlier, who is a member of the Crosspoint Bible Church and has taken on the role of leading the Bible study that is on Tuesdays and teaching at the holiday club, as well as coming alongside our men and boys and teaching them about Christ. As you can see, this is one of our men's monthly meetings. They are having their breakfast. Always it's John who is leading it, and getting to know the challenges men are going through, having a common topic, sharing, and also sharing the word. So once a month, John leads this meeting, the breakfast, where he shares a short message, as I have said, from God's words, and he discusses the issues that they are facing as men, all the while leading them to find their answers in Christ. As I said, all we do, Christ is the center, and teaching them how God wants them to live as responsible fathers and husbands. And John has also begun a mentoring program for boys in the local schools that we work with. And we praise God that from this, we, together with the teachers, have seen improvements in behaviors and grace of the boys that are being mentored. Most of these boys are without a male role model, as I had said earlier, and they do not attend church. So having John spend time with them each week and talk to them about issues they are struggling with and centering everything on God's word, we pray that this will lead them to become responsible, godly men even in the future. And over the last 3 years, God has strengthened our relationship again with Crosspoint Bible Church and also led them to begin different ministries in Joro. Every week, a team from the Crosspoint Bible Church goes into local schools to minister to the children as well as the staff. We continue praying that the ministry of Crosspoint Bible Church in Joro will be a step towards a church plant, and we will one day have a Christ-centered church in Joro that we can lead our families to. And another community project that the Lord has also enabled us to do or to serve in is our Children's Holiday Bible Club. And perhaps the most amazing way we have seen God work is in the Holiday Bible Club. We have been amazed at the immense increase of children attending the Bible Club, and this has humbled us greatly. And as you can see above, these are some of the activities that we do during our Holiday Bible Club. We have John up there teaching the scripture or reading a scripture. We have games here. We have myself here doing common or a general talk with them, and up there I think they're being told something. So we have never forgotten where we started. We had no venue and we just meet up in an open field in Jaro with only boys, coming to start. And even some days less than 8. And we give God all the glory for increasing the number of children from that of 8 boys to 159 at our holiday club that is running this week. Actually, this was the number yesterday. Alongside the children, on the last day we give thanks that parents are invited to come. We share a meal, we hear a short gospel message, and they get to hear from the children what they have been learning. And this is another opportunity for us to get to know the new parents who come in, to get to know where our parents are in terms of spiritual well-being, and if there are any that have specific needs that needs our intervention. And these parents also, they also benefit from getting to know us more as an organization and what we do. This goes for parents who their children have just come for the first time. Every holiday club we have new parents, new children coming, so they invite their parents. Now we run the club from Tuesdays to Fridays every week during the end of our term holiday. The children enjoy Bible club games, as you saw, a meal, and we have a time where I can talk to the children in groups, as you saw earlier, about issues, common issues that they are struggling or they may encounter as teenagers or as younger children. And this is a time where also I can be able to identify a child who I think needs a home visit or needs any intervention of some kind. So we give thanks to God for His practical provision for the club. When we started, we could only afford a simple snack for the children, and we would carefully weigh if we could afford squash or just water. And praise be to God, you can see the massive food. The plates are filled as Kenyans, we are used to filling our plates. Because God has enabled us to buy our own utensils and pots, and we are now able to cook a proper meal for each child. God also provides many helpers that cook and assist with the different group activities. We have been blessed so much. These are us serving, helpers, helping us to serve. We can see the big pots that God provided unto us, which in the past we had to borrow from somewhere and then give back, which was always a hassle. So having our own feels so humbling, and even having enough food to feed the children is something just great to us. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. That was so encouraging to hear. All right, so we'll just take a few final questions and then we'll end the live stream. For those of you who are watching on the live stream and would like some more information, please go to www.thepottershousecbo.com. The link is in the description. Any further questions? I thought Ruth had a question then. Okay, that's good. All right then, if we take the live stream to the end then, and we'll carry on here for a minute.